Welcome into the Paul Farrington Show. Paul joined alongside Jack Weinberger and Robert Ziggy Ziegler. Producer Zach, 4 shows in a row.
Oh,
amazing,
baby.
Amazing performance from Zach.
You can't make this
doing
up.
His job. The guy's doing his job. Look at that.
You can't make this up.
Imagine you just didn't show up to work for like 3 months straight.
Oh, the Zach train is rolling.
And then just came back and everyone applauded you. That's like the dream right there. The dream.
I make this go round.
This is, yeah, you do. And this is a big celebratory episode. The AFC South. We are finally through the division preview.
Yes.
Look. I mean, they're fun to do. They help us a lot, but at the same time, they are kind of exhausting. And we did a lot pretty quickly here in terms of studying, cramming a lot of information into a short time. So we appreciate everyone who's been listening, watching these videos. We know that it's not the most exciting stuff right off the page to jump out, but at the same time, it's good to know. Like it really does help you get a better preview for these teams. Ziggy, you gonna be munching on those? Ziggy's got a little snack for the episode. What's the non-sponsor snack we have?
It's snack mix I made.
No. Okay. All right.
Yeah.
We're just
what do you want from me here?
We're just curious what you were munching on during the episode. So today,
there's some rice crackers, there's some edamame, there's some nuts. It's pretty good.
You got the munchies, Ziggy?
Nice. Yeah. I mean,
he's got the munchies.
Just curious. Just curious. That's it. All right. So today is
2:45 Pacific time right now on a Wednesday. Look at that.
The AFC South is the division of choice today. The last one we have left. Please remember to like, comment, and subscribe to the channel. You can always become a member by hitting the join button, going to our channel's homepage. There's a link in the description. Again, just click join. For $4.99 a month, you become a member. You can participate in merch giveaways, competitions throughout the season. It's going to be a lot of fun as things get rolling. Of course, if you can't watch on YouTube, which is where we're primarily throwing up videos, you can always listen on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, anywhere that you get your podcasts, and paulfarringtonshow.com for merchandise.
And if you want to sponsor us, hit us up at our email.
Yeah, and if you want to sponsor us, you can DM us or hit us up on our email.
I didn't know we had an email.
Well, paulfarringtonshow@gmail.com.
Oh, that's pretty sick.
Yeah, it's out there. It exists.
I don't even know that.
Yeah. Now someone's going to see this and just sign us up for a bunch of like Packer newsletters. So
as they should.
We messed up there. But anyway, anyone who wants to sponsor, we are unsponsored. The AFC South then. Remember how these go. The favorite, top challenger, dark horse, and the bottom feeder. This is the last division for us guys. So we should really make this one a 2.5 hour preview breaking down CJ Stroud, Anthony Richardson, all the young quarterbacks here in this division.
2.5 minutes on each team.
I'm going to put this out there. I will have an absolute shocker in my final division predictions.
I'm excited for this.
The most shocking ranking I have given at any point this offseason.
Wow.
Maybe at any point in the show.
Ziggy's going Colts, Jags, Texans, Titans.
It's all right.
I mean, that's Ziggy's rank.
That's Jack's prediction.
Ziggy, the Colts, that's minus 1,000. That's Ziggy. That's your winner.
Well, Ziggy's a big Colts guy.
Yeah.
And the AFC South has been a great division for us too. Titans, the first team we interacted with when they responded to us on social media.
Yep.
Even though we were making fun of them, they didn't realize it.
We weren't making fun of them.
Oh, Ziggy, I was comparing Titans receivers to country singers and quizzing Jack on who they were because we had no idea who the Titans receivers were.
It was an appreciation of the regional culture that Nashville brings to the NFL.
Yeah, that's right.
That's what it was.
It was awesome, though.
The
Titans interacting with that. The Texans became our second biggest fan base during the season last year. The Colts are pretty big until Richardson got hurt. And the Jaguars exist. The Jaguars kind of just exist. All right, so we'll jump into it. The favorite, the Houston Texans, who won the division at 10-7 last year, won a playoff game in dominating fashion over the Browns before bowing out, getting crushed in the second half against the Ravens. But all things considered, when everyone thought the Texans were going to be one of the worst teams in football, when we were previewing that division saying, we don't know anyone on this team other than Will Anderson and CJ Stroud, really, to think that D'Amico Ryans took them from, number 1 or number 2 overall pick in the draft to now a Super Bowl contender in some people's eyes. It's pretty amazing, the turnaround in Houston in just 1 year. CJ Stroud, we all know, fantastic rookie season, 4,100 yards, 23 touchdowns, only 5 interceptions. He was just, absolutely mesmerizing watching him at times last season. A couple great comeback wins. Particularly, I'm thinking of that game against the Bengals, right? They came back and won that one, and then the Buccaneers as well. That's one that really stands out to me. This offseason, some key additions. Stephon Diggs, Danielle Hunter, Joe Mixon. Some star power coming in. Whether or not you think they still got, it's another question. key departures, Jonathan Grenard, Blake Cashman go to our Vikings, and Devin Singletary over to the Giants now. Of course, they extended Nico Collins too. So let me ask you guys. I've been rambling on about the Texans here for like 2 minutes. That's too much for me.
So we got 30 seconds left in the Texans.
30 seconds left. Do you guys believe that the Texans' big splashes, those free agents I was just talking about, is that enough, along with the CJ Stroud, the hopeful second-year jump, if he can go any higher? Will that put Houston on the same tier as the Chiefs, the Ravens, the elite in the AFC, the top tier?
I mean, I've said this countless times, my man.
Say it again.
I think Stephon Diggs is a mojo messer upper.
Oh, jeez.
Like, I'm dead serious. I mean, these guys had their squad, and now you get this complainer veteran in there. I just don't like it. I don't like him with their young rising star quarterback. I love Danielle Hunter and Will Anderson though. The defense should be pretty good up there.
That's gonna be scary.
CJ Stroud was, I mean, no shy of unbelievable last season. Exceeded every expectation in the book, times 100. And this team won 10 games and lost to Baltimore in the playoffs on the road. Now, I think that there is more of a world where CJ Stroud is a little bit more on planet Earth than he is better than what he was last year.
Okay, so if you're picking regression or ascension, you're going regression.
And he was amazing, flat out amazing. And this was a 10-win team. So I don't really believe Houston should be in that category right now with Kansas City or the AFC's elite. I agree they're the division favorite and probably should host the playoff game again. I don't really see them though as anything more than that. Like, I wouldn't say Kansas City, Baltimore, Houston. I'd say Kansas City, Baltimore, Cincinnati. I wouldn't say Houston.
Maybe Buffalo or someone.
Yeah, but I wouldn't put Houston up there.
All right, Ziggy, how about you? That's so you're pretty down on the Texans.
I don't like Stephon Diggs either on the Texans. I really don't.
Yeah, I'll get to that in a second.
I do think expectations for this team are a little bit too high given what we've seen from them. The Texans had a good season, but people seem to be acting like the Texans had an incredible borderline elite season last year. When you look back and see how things actually went, that's not quite how it was for the Texans. The Texans played 3 games against elite AFC teams on the road, right? They played against the Bengals in Cincinnati, and they played in Baltimore twice. The Bengals game, there were some strange things that happened, but they won 30-27. In Baltimore, they got absolutely rocked twice. Now, I know one of those was CJ Stroud's first game in the NFL, but the playoff game, losing 34-10, and 34-10, frankly, makes it look closer than it actually was. The gap between them and the elite teams was large last year. And going from bad to good is easier than going from good to elite. Now, I think there's a lot of reasons to be optimistic about this Texans team, but they had a pretty mediocre middle of the season. I know some guys were hurt, but playing close games against the Cardinals, losing to the Jags, a close game against the Broncos, blown out by the Jets. I know CJ Stroud got hurt that game, but they got blown out 30-6 by the Jets.
That was bad.
Close game against the Buccaneers, losing to the Panthers. Like, there were a lot of close games against bad opponents. They have a lot of improvement to do. I think this team will probably be better than last year, but it is not obvious to me that that's going to lead to a much better outcome for the season.
God, I don't know how you guys are so down on a team. You know how many wins they combined for over the past three years before last season? 11 wins.
Well, yeah, but
they got better. I'm not saying they're a bad team.
No. But
there's the difference in being elite versus being elite according to your expectations.
No. But like, there should be hype in Houston because they won 4 games, 3 games, and then went 10-7 and went to the divisional round out of nowhere. Like, the fact that this team was playing in the second weekend of the playoffs last year was astonishing. And I think they got better. Like, they did get better this offseason. I didn't even mention they added Danico Autry as well and Azeez Al-Shaair at linebacker. Like, there were big additions. Stephon Diggs, I don't know. I really don't get where you guys are coming from when you say you don't.
I didn't say anything about Diggs.
He's a mojo killer.
I can't sign up for that.
That's also like if Adams went to Green Bay. They wouldn't want
Stephon Diggs has had kind of nasty exits from teams. But generally speaking, he seems like a beloved teammate for years before he kind of starts to act up. So he's 30 years old. He's still got some left in the tank. He had 1,200 yards last year despite falling off a cliff. Like, I think that this is a perfect restart for him with a young team that's going to energize him. He's going to take on that leadership role perfectly. I think he's a
But
great
that's the worry
guy.
with Stephon Diggs. It's not, I know Jack is saying it's the leadership stuff, and that's what the media is saying. It's not that. It's the fact that after about week 7, Stephon Diggs was one of the worst wide receiver ones in the entire NFL.
Yeah, but I think that going into Houston, where frankly is a much like the offense is more well-rounded than Buffalo. They have better receivers than the Bills had. More guys to take attention away. I think he's going to go in there and take on that big brother role really well. He's going to have an awesome season. And you'll see a rejuvenated Stephon Diggs.
If you were playing QB for Houston, you were 22. And me, Zach, and Ziggy were your receivers. We were all balling out. We had that chemistry, that mojo.
He brought in Stephon Diggs.
And then some dude like 9 years older than us who's going to demand our targets. You wouldn't like that.
I mean, no.
I think I would hate
They
that.
want to win games.
You're acting like Stephon Diggs is a locker room cancer. He's not.
They won games last year with what they had.
But he is objectively a good receiver. Like he is, and he can be great.
I think he's going to just steal targets from the guys who should get him.
You're not stealing targets when you're as good as Stephon Diggs.
Go to the sideline and he'll yell at Stroud. That'll be a mess.
Their core right now of Diggs, Nico Collins, Tank Dell, and Dalton Schultz is going to be electrifying to watch.
I think it'd be better if it was just
it's going to be
Tank Dell and Nico Collins.
No, Noah Brown to Stephon Diggs. All respect to Noah Brown. I thought he had a really good season last year. Stephon Diggs is truly one of the elite receivers in football. Didn't play like it at the end of the year. He did not play like it. But I believe he still has that superstar level in him, at least for another year or two. And I think he's a great addition to this team. Now, whether or not you want to get on him for the way he's exited before, fine. I just don't think that'll be a problem. And defensively, I love Danielle Hunter. I mean, 16? How many sacks did he have last year? 16 or 16 and a half, something like that. Paired with Will Anderson. Like, as long as the cornerback room, and I feel like we say this for so many teams, but as long as the cornerback group has someone else step up with Derek Stingley, I think this is going to be a really, really fun team throughout next season. All right, let's move on to the top contender in the AFC South, the Jacksonville Jaguars, who, man, it was looking really good in Jacksonville through 12 weeks last season. They were 8-3. They looked like a potential number 1 seed candidate. Ziggy, you had said earlier in the year you thought they were going to win the 1 seed, and people kind of laughed at that. But there they were, 8-3. Trevor Lawrence starts to get banged up a little bit. They end the season 1-5. Really disappointing fashion. Lawrence plays in basically all the games, missed 1, but just wasn't his same self. He just wasn't the same. You could listen to us. We talked about Trevor Lawrence a lot in an episode, maybe like a month ago, right after he signed his big contract. One of our all-time worst performing videos, I think, of late. But the Trevor Lawrence video, we talked a lot about what he brings to the table in Jacksonville. So even though we're coming into this offseason with moderate expectations for the Jaguars, it might be unfair since we have such a sour taste in our mouth from the way they ended the season, given that they started 8-3. Like, if the Jaguars win the division, get a 2 seed, it's a much different reaction. This is a much different AFC South preview. The key additions, they add Eric Armstead, Gabe Davis, Mitch Morse was a big add at center, one of their big needs. Ronald Darby and Darnell Savage, also the secondary was big needs after losing Darius Williams. However, they did lose Calvin Ridley as well and Rayshon Jenkins, their safety. So even though they lost a couple guys, they did, for the most part, do a good job of reloading. And of course, in the draft, their big pick was Brian Thomas Jr., the wide receiver out of LSU. All of a sudden, I kind of like what we have in Jacksonville in terms of the weapons for Trevor Lawrence with Brian Thomas, with Gabe Davis, with Christian Kirk. I think that this team should be right back in the thick of it for the AFC South. So our key question here is, will things finally click for Trevor Lawrence in Jacksonville? Let's pretend he stays healthy. Is the ceiling for this Jaguars team, could they get to an AFC championship game? Are they good enough to do that?
I think this team could win the AFC South. Like, I'm not one to go say, I'm checking this off to Houston right now.
No, you can't.
Jacksonville was 8-3. Trevor Lawrence, he just got paid. It's time to show his worth, time to prove his worth.
5 years, $275.
I do love what they did in the secondary. That really is, to me, probably the biggest part of the game is what you got back there. And Ronald Darby and Savage are massive, massive additions for them. A team who struggled in the secondary quite a bit. Trevor Lawrence, if he's healthy again, I believe Gabe Davis is a little better than Calvin Ridley, to be honest with you.
Really?
Yeah.
I think I'd rather have Ridley.
I mean, I like what he has. There's no reason to think that this could be a team that can win the division. When it comes to anything more than that, I'd say probably again the divisional round is a ceiling for them. Like I don't think they're up there with Kansas City, Baltimore, Cincinnati, probably even Buffalo. The AFC is just too strong. To me, they're similar to Houston, whereas they can win the South, host a playoff game, win that, and then it probably fades beyond that.
Then they have a good second round showing, but bow out.
Yeah, like kind of what like Houston did last year, won a playoff game, went on the road to a superior team and lost. Like that's what I see from a Trevor Lawrence led Jacksonville as the ceiling. But can they get there? Absolutely. Like I'm not one to say, oh, this is Houston's division.
Okay.
I can see Jacksonville being better than them, to be honest with you.
How about you, Ziggy? I could get that on a shirt. How about you, Ziggy?
Yeah.
How
about you, Zig Dog?
To make it to the AFC Championship game, you have to beat an elite team. Now, the good news for the Jaguars is they did that last year, right? They won in Buffalo 25-20. The bad news is they got their socks knocked off by San Francisco and Baltimore in some awful games. Texans, too, absolutely blew them out. And all three of those games were at home, right? They lost 17-37 to the Texans at home, 3-24 to the 49ers at home, 7-23 to the Ravens at home. And while Trevor Lawrence has been good when he's been healthy, I think they have the worst skill position group in the division, right? I mean, you're starting Christian Kirk, Gabe Davis, and Brian Thomas. They play Zay Jones with Brian Thomas.
I don't think
it's not bad.
No, but it is the worst in the division, right? I'd rather...
Gabe Davis is good.
It's got to be better than
Gabe Davis is not very good. He has been inconsistent. He's occasionally shown up.
You can't be sitting here saying you don't think that it's better than, look, love Jonathan Taylor, Pittman, Josh Downs, Mitchell, and Jelani.
Pittman is a legitimate wide receiver one.
Yeah,
the Jaguars do not have a legitimate wide receiver one.
I mean, you hope Adonai Mitchell comes in and plays well, but would you rather have Adonai Mitchell or Brian Thomas?
Josh Downs, the season he put up last year is as good as any season Gabe Davis has put up in the NFL. And it was his first year.
Okay,
he put up 800 yards.
It's not a bad group. It's like I don't look at the Jaguars group and say that. Oh,
no, but when you're talking about their ability to make it deep, they have to make it out of the division first. And I think this is a tough division. And with the worst skill position players, I'll stand by this in the division. I think it's going to be an uphill battle to get out. Now, it is a very even division. I think of all the divisions we've looked at, the AFC South is probably the most even. We'll get there. That might be a hot take. It's going to be on Trevor Lawrence, and he needs to stay healthy. If he can, we've seen it. He can play at a high level. The defense will probably be bad, but that's okay. Maybe Eric Armstead magically turns it around. Maybe some of the rookies they brought in, like Jerry and Jones, Mason Smith, can get it done. Darnell Savage, I don't know. Packers fans can tell me if he's any good. But it's hard for me to see this team being elite, given that there was a big gap last year. And the Texans, at least on paper, made that gap closer. The Jaguars, I think, had about an even offseason.
Yeah, I would say, I'd probably agree with that. I'll say for Jacksonville, though, they are being underrated coming into this season. I said off the top of their segment, the 1-5 end to the year is what people are remembering. And most people are not thinking about the 8-3 team. A lot of those big losses, like you said, to Baltimore, they lost to Cleveland, all the playoff teams. They lost to Tampa Bay badly. That was all with the injured Trevor Lawrence. Yes, they got blown out earlier by Houston and San Francisco with him healthy. I think that San Francisco just does that to people. Like they're not on San Francisco's level. They're not on the Ravens level, regardless. But this team is better than the way people are perceiving them coming into this year. I might go so far to say, like, they're one of the most underrated teams in football heading into this season. They could easily win the division and be hosting a division. Like, they could host a divisional round game. I don't think that's crazy to say. If they like, could they be a 2 seed potentially?
I'm hosting a divisional round game. I don't know about that.
They could though. Like look across it. I think the AFC East is going to beat itself up. The AFC North is going to beat itself up. They were 8-3. Like they could compete for a 2 seed.
They have to be a top 2 seed to host a divisional round.
Yeah, they would have to be a top 2 seed. Like, is it crazy to think the Jaguars could be a 2 seed?
Yes.
I don't know. They were right there before Lawrence got hurt. I don't think it's that
They're going
crazy.
to get beat up in the division this year, just like
will.
they did
No,
last
it'll be
year.
tough,
That's
but
going
I'm
to be
saying,
what
like-
holds them back.
Like, they have a shot to be really good. It does take a leap from Lawrence that you need. Like, we need to see more of a leap from Trevor beyond just like, oh, he's good when he's healthy. It needs to be okay. Like CJ Stroud was fantastic. Everyone could tell just watching the games. I think we're gonna need a visible demonstration of like, oh, okay, Lawrence took that leap. But I like ETN. I like Evan Ingram. I think the defense is okay. So I guess maybe I'm a little higher on the Jaguars than most, but let's go on to the dark horse. And this is a team that sounds like Ziggy is about to really bestow some graces on here. The Indianapolis Colts, who got off to a solid, okay start to the season. Anthony Richardson showed some sparks, but then he winds up hurting his AC joint in his right shoulder early in the season. Gardner Minshew comes in and kind of miraculously leads the Colts on almost playoff worthy season. They came up just pass short of having a big first down against the Texans and the first and goal, first and 10 from the 15-yard line against Houston with a playoff berth on the line. Come up just a little bit short on that 4th and inches play. But Shane Steichen, all things considered, did a great job in his rookie season, given the uphill battle that he faced with Jonathan Taylor, in and out of the team at the beginning, and then the Richardson injury, of course, and some guys on defense fading quickly. All things considered, though, going into this offseason, the whole question's on Anthony Richardson. It's how will he bounce back from that injury? Not really any key additions, not really any key departures. They're just kind of rolling out with their draft picks of Adonai Mitchell and Latu out of UCLA, the edge rusher, who so many people are high on. So let me ask you guys, Anthony Richardson, how big of a bounce back are you expecting?
I mean, Anthony Richardson is my man. Going back to his college days,
he won you a lot of money.
He won me a lot of money. Their key addition is Richardson for hopefully the full season. Knock on wood. He's able to do things. His bag is so deep, and he's able to do things that quarterbacks cannot do in terms of being so athletically gifted. I do like who he has too. Like, I like Michael Pittman, Jonathan Taylor. The O-line's decent. Mitchell's one of my favorite receivers when he was in college. Good athlete. I do like him as well. I'm expecting really, really good things from AR, both in terms of his passing ability, especially short intermediate game over the field, and with his legs. Like, he's a freak athlete that brings things to the table that not many quarterbacks in the rest of the league can do. And I think
ever.
Like, ever. Yeah, ever. Like, he's so physically gifted. And I'm expecting really, really good things. I seriously am. And if we can get what Colts fans are hoping he can become, this team too could win the AFC South. I mean, they were a drop ball away from doing it last year.
With all the problems.
Without Anthony Richardson, with the issues. Yeah, I am high on the Colts this year, as I'm sure Ziggy is too.
Yeah, last year, Anthony Richardson took 173 snaps, and the Colts finished 13th in scoring in the NFL. Right, with Gardner Minshew, who had a hot start but got figured out pretty quickly, Shane Steichen was able to bring in an above-average scoring offense. And I don't know, but I've been watching some videos this offseason of Anthony Richardson throwing down tomahawk dunks. He is healthy.
Yeah.
He is athletic. He's ready to play.
You see that video? Holy crap.
I was like,
Yeah.
what?
No, that is a dunk. Like, that would get an 11 in the dunk contest. It would be impressive for an NBA player to do something.
Here I go.
Like
You
that.
guys are talking me into.
Oh, he'd win the dunk contest.
You guys
So,
are
like,
talking me
look.
into this right now.
That would have won it.
And then you look at what the Colts did this offseason, and there were 2 goals when Richardson was hurt. Number 1 was to rebuild his throwing motion to make that more effective, improve his mechanics because he was out and learning to throw again. And the second thing is convincing him and showing him how to get less injured, how to slide, how to take hits better, all of that. Tua did some of that, led to him being healthy for a whole season, leading an offense that was pretty good. So, and Anthony Richardson, he's 22, right?
Yeah,
I don't think
so young.
if Anthony Richardson stays healthy, the Colts are winning the division. I don't think Anthony Richardson will stay healthy for the whole season. I think he's still got a lot to learn. I think that's a lot to ask. I think that it would have been better to see some improvements around them. Adding Adonai Mitchell was nice, but Isaiah McKenzie was all right. They didn't really do much else to improve
I
the
like
offense.
Mitchell a lot.
I like Mitchell too.
I every time I turned on a Texas game, it seemed like he was doing something spectacular.
I like Mitchell.
I mean, we'll see. I worry about how he's going to adjust to the NFL given his size.
Ziggy,
size don't matter.
Do you guys think that in general, I feel like Anthony Richardson is getting the proper amount of hype coming into the season, but this show, like us particular, have been really high on him.
We love him.
Do you think that we're a little too gung ho, just kind of playing devil's advocate here? Like he was good when he played, but they were also 2-2. Like it wasn't like he came in. CJ Stroud, it was more impressive. Richardson had more spectacular things, but CJ Stroud looked better. I mean, of course he had the whole year. Are we a little too high, you think, on Richardson?
I mean, there was a lot of balls that he threw to me that were bad. Like he was inaccurate. Some balls were bouncing. Some balls were high. Like some balls were sailing.
The highs were high though.
Yeah, highs were very high, but
we got good views.
Yes, that's how we did it. But in terms of his accuracy, that was probably his weakest link. So I do want to see, like, we're super high in his athletic ability, and for obviously great reason. But he has to, in my eyes, throw the football a little better to really take that step forward and be what Colts fans want him to be.
Yeah, it's going to take snaps. It's just true. It's unfortunate he got hurt because I think it's going to lead to fans having a little bit less patience than they otherwise would in a guy's first year. Mm-hmm. But look, I mean, CJ Stroud was 2-2, right? He'd put together some tough looking games. Anthony Richardson was making highlight reel throws week in, week out. I'm willing to take a guy who misses sometimes if he can make throws that nobody else can and make plays nobody else can. And honestly, I think this is where I worry about the injury a little bit, is if you use him fully as a runner, the floor becomes much higher because we already saw he was one of the best rushing quarterbacks in the NFL from day one. There's no question he'll be that.
Yep.
The trick is going to be Shane Steichen resisting the temptation to use that to bail them out every time and making choices to use that only when the Colts need it. And Richardson, too, to slide or avoid taking unnecessary hits. But they've spent the offseason working on that. I think it's going to happen. And I will unashamedly be Anthony Richardson's number one fan.
How fun are these first 3 weeks of quarterback matchups for Richardson? Richardson versus Stroud, Richardson versus Jordan Love, Richardson versus Caleb Williams. In terms of the young quarterback talent in the league.
That'll be pretty fun for our show.
I mean, that's awesome for us right there.
Ziggy, how old AR?
22.
Can you say the next line in the song for me? Sing it. Dance like we're... Come on.
22.
Dance like we're 20.
I don't know the song.
It's Taylor Swift. I don't know.
I've never listened to a Taylor Swift song intentionally, except for her most recent album, which was actively bad and makes me puzzled at why anyone likes Taylor Swift at all.
Oh, she's overrated as can be. I believe. I agree.
All right, we're moving on. We're going to move on here. We're going to move on.
Just be clear. When I say Anthony Richardson's 22, he turned 22 in May, by the way.
Yeah, he is super young.
He's so young.
I will say one thing I was a little disappointed with the Colts was going after L'Jarius Sneed. He would have been a big addition for them. They're rolling out a lot of young guys, a lot of faith in the secondary that hasn't really proved too much yet. So as excited as we are for the offense, there are a lot of big question marks on that defense that need to be figured out.
I don't care.
Or else it'll sink. Yeah, okay.
Do not care.
So, all right.
I'm watching the Colts for one player. Sorry.
The bottom feeder, the Tennessee Titans, they finished 6-11 on the year. Will Levis came in, went 3-5 while he played in his starts. Some key additions. Now, look, as inactive as the Colts were in both departments here, in terms of additions, the Titans had a huge offseason. I don't think they're getting enough credit. L'Jarius Sneed, Lloyd Cushenberry III, Calvin Ridley, Chidobe Awuzie, Kenneth Murray, Tony Pollard. There were some big-time moves in addition to bringing in Brian Callahan, head coach, the former offensive coordinator for the Bengals. And for the offensive line, big issue for them. They get Bill Callahan, one of the best offensive line coaches in the league, comes over to join the Titans. Their big losses, Derrick Henry, of course, Danico Autry, and Azeez Al-Shaair. So some big losses for Tennessee, but I mean, they really attacked this offseason to put some pieces around Will Levis here. Their first round draft pick, J.C. Latham from Alabama. I know people are up and down on him, but they needed offensive line help. They got some there. Overall, the Titans, I think they did a good job. I know people aren't talking about it at all, but you're rolling out Will Levis with Pollard, Calvin Ridley, DeAndre Hopkins, Tyler Boyd too. I think that if the offensive line shows up, that's a serviceable offense, no, for Will Levis.
I mean, I think D-Hop, Ridley, and Boyd is great.
I mean, that's good, right?
I think that's fantastic.
Pollard's, I know he was down last year, but I think Tony Pollard still is good.
Running back's
not that old.
Running back's
What am I saying?
But to me, D-Hop, Boyd, and what was it?
Ridley?
Really, I mean, that's unbelievable. That's probably the best in the South, is it not? Maybe behind Houston.
Depends what you think of Stephon Diggs.
But you know what the problem is? Well, yeah, true. So I would say it's Tennessee. They got to keep their young kid. How old Will Levis? 23? 22?
He might even be 24.
24? They got
23 or 24.
They got to. He's younger than us. They got to keep their young kid off those Broadway Avenue streets on Saturday night.
Yeah, jeez.
That's really what it comes down
I think
to.
it's a standing upright. It's like, all right, here comes an astute observation on the Titans' offensive line.
That's what it comes down to. You got a veteran in D-Hop.
He's fine. I think isn't Will Levis. I thought Will Levis. Oh, wait, no.
Nope. Single.
No, yeah.
You got a veteran in Boyd.
No Mayo.
You got a veteran in Ridley.
That mayo thing was weird, man.
He's a mayo eating monster.
Do you remember trying the mayo on the show?
Yeah, and
for anyone who hasn't seen it, the reaction to what was it? Titans. It was their first game with Will Levis.
Yeah, Jack bet if the Titans won.
No.
It was me as well.
No,
Hold on, let me
Steelers
find
beat
what week
the
that
Titans.
was. 2023. Will Levis
against
came
the Falcons. You bet against the Falcons if he won.
Yeah, it was week 8. Will Levis came in against the Falcons, and me and Jack were sitting here saying, like, in game pick, saying there's no way in hell Will Levis comes in and wins this game. And we're like, if he looks good, if they win this game, I'll drink coffee with mayo. It's great. The week 8 reaction show. Go look at that. There's also a reel everywhere. Jack and I tried the coffee with mayo. I took a sip. Disgusting. Obviously disgusting. Jack took a sip. Didn't get any mayo. I was like, this is great. This is fantastic.
Then I got the mayo and it was horrible.
But to be fair, so we're going to actually have to try it again. We had like cold coffee with clumps. It was really disgusting. I mean, I'm sorry.
That's a bad move.
Yeah.
I mean,
like it wasn't, we had brought it there and it just got cold by the time we got to the topic. We need a fresh, piping hot cup of coffee.
I mean, coffee and mayo are both good. So you would think
Not
they'd be good together.
Not together. But we'll try it again. Like I think we owe it to try it again, even though it's very, very strange. But all right, back to the topic. Will Levis, enough weapons around him, Ziggy?
This is my 2024 AFC South champion. I think the Titans will be the best team in the AFC South this year.
Ziggy.
All right, hold on.
I said
if they win,
I said this would be the boldest prediction I've made maybe in the history of this show, and I will probably be embarrassed.
Wait.
I hate what the Titans did this offseason. I think it was a bunch of stupid signings because long term, I think they're overpaying all these guys. But next year, you've got a team that had some, they won 6 games last year of some impressive wins, right? They obliterated the Bengals. They beat the Dolphins in Miami, as our producer is well aware. They played the Texans.
That was a miracle comeback.
Well, you could say they were miracle comebacks, and they were miracle comebacks. Well, the Cincinnati game wasn't. But Will Levis looked decent, and everything around him is so good. The receivers are good. The offensive line, I think J.C. Latham and Lloyd Cushenberry will make the offensive line serviceable. And the defense has a lot of really good players. Calvin Ridley, good player. Is he the best? No. Is he better than Chris Moore? Absolutely. So I think, Snead and Awuzie should be a very good cornerback duo. There's a lot to like about this team. And for a team that, again, they won 6 games last year. And if you look at the points differential, it really probably should have been 7. A 7-10 team, upgrading at head coach, adding a bunch of guys around a quarterback who look decent and could look good. This is a sleeper team, but more than that, I think nobody is looking at just how much talent they've added to a team that was already pretty good. I love the Titans going into next year. I think they're going to win the division.
I
Wow.
mean, the Titans they're our team. I mean, they commented on.
They did.
We're
a Titans podcast.
Yeah, we always said we're a Titans podcast. So we got to show love where love should be shown, and so I respect that, Ziggy. But if the Titans win the division, can we Can we get a video of you going up and down Broadway and ripping a shot in each bar?
That sounds like a punishment.
I feel like you should have to do that.
I'm picking the Titans.
If they win.
Actually, if they win,
No, that's
you
a
should be doing the
it's a
punishment, not
celebration.
Ziggy.
That's a celebration.
I mean, that's a punishment to Ziggy, though.
Oh, so if they win, I do it. That's a celebration for me.
Or how about you have to? How about you have to sit here and drink?
Look, let's not talk about
What
that
about-
until it happens.
Yeah, we'll get there.
What about run up and down Broadway in a Speedo?
Again, why
Punishment.
Why is Ziggy?
I mean, you could do that. I think that'd be funny if you did it if the Titans won the division. I think you could comfortably make that. They're not going to win the division. I think you could comfortably make that. But
Yeah. And then
I will say, Ziggy, I like it. I like that you have the.
No, I don't hate it.
I like that you have the balls to do that. Like you are right. The secondary, if Awuzie stays healthy, L'Jarius Sneed was awesome last year. Huge additions. Huge.
They got to keep Will Levis out of Florida Georgia Line bar. Those
It's the
Vanderbilt
lines.
babes.
It's the lines.
It's
That's
Saturday
what it's going
nights.
to be.
It's
If the
Saturday night.
Tennessee lines are good, offensive line, keep them upright. I think Levis will be okay.
It's Saturday nights.
But the defensive line gets very little. What?
Two very different outcomes.
Oh, yeah.
You got Jack.
Oh, yeah. Me and him.
It's a Saturday night.
And neither of us are listening.
Yeah.
The Titans defensive line was 27th in pressure percentage last year. They lost to Nico Autry, who had the most sacks on the team at 11.5. The pass rush is somewhere. They didn't really address it too well. I'm trying to think. Seeing the draft, I don't think they went after it really. I mean, they got sweat from Texas, but that could be a spot that is troubling for them with all the quarterback talent in their division. So if they work on the line, Ziggy, I like it. I don't think that's as crazy as people think. All right, let's get into the predictions here and wrap this up. The non-quarterback player to watch in the AFC South. I love looking at Jack first on these and seeing the.
Because I'm thinking.
Jack hasn't even. That's this is our eighth preview. We've asked the same question for every division, and Jack hasn't even started to think.
I think on the spot, but I mean, I'm going Stephon Diggs.
Yeah, I knew. Yeah, and now it's the.
I mean, that's obvious, right? I think he's gonna disappoint. Like most other people don't. I think he's gonna disappoint. I want to see if he's a mojo messer or if he's elite.
I think he's gonna be awesome.
A mojo mofo.
You got your guy, Ziggy?
It feels bad to not pick somebody on the Titans after I made that prediction, but I am interested to see what Danielle Hunter is able to do with the Texans, particularly because he's going to have somebody very, very good lining up next to him. Danielle Hunter, he carried our defensive line for a number of years, Paul. I'm sure you remember that.
Oh,
it's exciting to see. I'll be excited. This might be the Vikings fan in me coming out a little bit, but I'm excited to see what Danielle Hunter can do, even if he's a little bit older, even if he might get hurt. With some other really strong guys on the defensive line, he could be in for a big season in Houston.
I like that. I'm all right. I'm going to get off the Texans if you guys are going there. Man, there are a few good options. I like there are a lot on the Titans. I'm really excited to see. I want to see how Ridley looks at receiver. Not going to pick him as my guy. Sneed. No, I'm moving off the Titans. Sorry. The secondary is good, but I can't keep doing the secondary pick. Let's go with. I was going to go Diggs. I'm going to go with. I want to see. Actually, here's what I'm really excited to see. I really do want to see Adonai Mitchell within the Colts offense. I know that's kind of weird to pick a number 3 receiver, but I do think that with Anthony Richardson, Taylor, Pittman, Downs, Mitchell, that Colts offense could be really fun to watch. And again, what did he set the combine record? Was that Mitchell this year?
Yeah. He could have the most yards per reception in the NFL this year.
Like, I'm just really excited to see how he stretches defenses. I think he ties together that Colts offense really nicely. And then another guy who's going to be really important to watch is the secondary for the Jaguars, because losing Darius Williams, I get that he was the best corner on their team last year. It was also by far the best season I think he'd had in a while. So he'll probably come back down to earth. But in terms of Ronald Darnell Savage, like we said, how do those additions, are they able to come in and replicate the value that he brought to the team last year? I do like the Jaguars. I'm sorry. I like them a lot. It's just hard when all these teams that we're talking about in the South we're hyping up so much. And during each segment, I'm like, damn, like maybe the Colts are winning this division. Then Ziggy's going on the Titans. I'm like, yeah, they are pretty good.
I mean, it's really not bad.
All right, how about division MVP?
Trevor Lawrence.
This is tough.
I'm with Trevor Lawrence. I think he has a fantastic year.
Travis Etienne.
Maybe.
What?
Yeah, you just got to ignore it.
I can't respond to that.
Who are the candidates?
Give me Anthony Richardson.
It's Stroud. It's Richardson.
Why not Lawrence?
It's Lawrence.
No, they're saying my
No, Lawrence is fine.
Etienne's not a bad pick.
Etienne's a great pick.
This running back, Zach.
Etienne is not a viable candidate. But, it's different.
I mean, the Jaguars offense ran through Etienne last year.
I'm going to go with... I'm going to rule out Richardson. I think he'll be awesome, but I don't think he's going to be the MVP of the division. I will also probably go with... No, I'm going to go with CJ Stroud because they're going to win I have them winning the division. So, all right, I'll go CJ Stroud. The division predictions. I'll have the Texans at 1. Oh, this is tough. The Titans will be at 4. And then 2, 3. Gosh, I want to take the Colts at 2, but I just hyped up the Jaguars so much in that segment. I feel like I kind of have to put them at 2. Jaguars 2, Colts 3, Titans 4.
I'm going Jags, Texans, Colts, Titans.
I'm not sure I have the nerve to say what my real ranking is, Paul.
I think I have an idea of what your real ranking is right now.
I have to just say it, right?
Well, you know what his ranking's going to be, right?
Titans, Colts, Jags, Texans.
Yeah, that's what I think.
Yeah, that's the ranking. I got to just own it. Titans, Colts, Jags, Texans. I think all of them have 9 or more wins.
It's going
to be a tight division.
It's better than
as I said at the start, I think this is the most even division in the NFL. I think all of these teams are very good. None of them are elite. Anything could happen. Looking
back at it, I mean, this division's not bad.
It is a good division. It's there's a lot of talent there. And the Titans are the one. I'm pretty confident that the Colts are going to be good. Pretty confident the Jags and the Texans will be good. If the Titans surprise some people the way Ziggy's saying, it's going to be a bloodbath.
Oh, yeah.
All right, there you go. The last division preview, the AFC South. 3 different division winners from us. Kind of crazy. The probably the most chaotic rankings that we've had for the last episode.
I don't want to look at the comments. I know I'm just getting lit up.
I know. Hey, don't worry. That Titans video, people are going to like you. We'll have a Titans breakout.
Well, usually this is Jack's rule. I'm not comfortable taking on this role of just saying ridiculous things that might turn out to be true because I just believe it really hard.
You know what it is? You got to stand.
It's a new role for me.
You guys are both really good at that. I am horrendous. I'll be like, oh, Jaguars are going to the Super. Wait, maybe not.
Ziggy, I've grown on you.
I mean, we were in agreement basically this whole video until it came time to rank.
Yeah. No, you're
I don't think it's ever been a video we've agreed more than this one.
You're right. This is a rarity.
Yeah, but I mean, you almost had the exact opposite in the predictions.
Well, that was funny. Like we said a lot of the same things, but had.
But that's how close it is. That's how close it is.
Yeah.
In the division. All right. Thanks to everyone who's been listening. Remember to like, comment, and subscribe to the channel. You can always become a member by going to the channel homepage, clicking join. There's a link in the description as well to join, become a member, $4.99 a month, merch giveaways, some competitions during the season. It'll be a lot of fun. Appreciate everyone who's been listening, and we'll be back next week. See ya.